Hello, my friends, subscribers, and viewers. God bless you all, and thanks for watching. The information in this article as it pertains to Greece is very important, for it is highly probable that it is a predictor of things to take place in the United States very, very shortly. I think that we will begin to see evidence of this shortly after the 2012 election. But let's first take a look at the article.
Deeply indebted and nearly bankrupt, this Mediterranean nation was forced to adopt tough austerity measures to slash its deficit and secure an international bailout. But as Greece's economy slides into freefall, critics are scanning the devastated landscape here and asking a probing question: does austerity really work? Unemployment has surged to 18.8% from 13.3% only a year ago.
Greece has been forced to cut spending and raise taxes in the middle of a severe downturn, slashing pensions as well as state salaries, jobs and services.
As public confidence has evaporated, consumer spending, the biggest driver of the economy, has plunged, generating cascading losses at private firms. The result is a dizzying economic plummet and social crisis that is bringing the cradle of Western civilization to its knees. Conditions have deteriorated so dramatically that doctors in the country now believe that the Greek crisis is no longer just a financial crisis, but a humanitarian crisis. The economic pain here is intensifying. The debate over how to fix Europe's physical woes, potentially influencing U.S. policymakers as they chart their own course to cut the deficit.
On Monday, German Chancellor Angela Merkel and French President Nicolas Sarkozy turned up the heat on Greece, suggesting that its bailout deal is in danger of unraveling if Athens does not press ahead quicker with pledged budget reforms and seal a deal with bondholders to voluntarily restructure its massive debt. But they also acknowledge that new steps are needed to combat slowing growth in the Eurozone, where economists fear a looming regional recession as other indebted nations from Italy to Spain to Ireland also make deep spending cuts to reassure worried investors.
To glimpse Greece's spiral, step inside the Klimaka homeless shelter and soup kitchen in the center of this ancient capital. Here, the proprietors say, you can tell the newcomers by their clothes. They knock on the bright red door wearing clean, name-brand shirts and jackets. Their pants pockets and bags bulge with cellular phones and other totems of broken middle-class lives. They seem dazed for the first few days. Many, like Lambros Zakaros, a 55-year-old plasterer in a Formula One jacket who lost his job 8 months ago as the Greek debt crisis built, cannot bear to tell loved ones how far they've fallen. I told my son I got a new job as a truck driver and am on the road outside Greece, he said. I did not want him to know where I am. Like all of us now, he has his own financial problems.
The swelling numbers of poor using Athens shelters and soup kitchens up as much as 25% since the crisis began in earnest in 2010, according to non-profit groups and city officials speak to the effects of the economic medicine being imposed on Greece and other troubled economies in Europe. In a country where homelessness was largely limited for generations by a culture of close family ties, officials say the roughly 1,000 beds available in Athens shelters are now fully occupied, with weeks-long waiting lists for newcomers. Most of them are economic refugees like Leon Hannon, 64, a fluent English speaker and a maker of sacred icons for the Greek Orthodox faithful. When Greece's economy went from bad to worse in 2011, squeezing wallets, religious shops rapidly stopped purchasing his wares. He said he went from a monthly income of roughly $2,600 as recently as 2009 to about $260 a month by last summer.
In May 2010, Greece pledged to meet tough targets to cut its deficit as part of a bailout deal with the European Union, the International Monetary Fund, and the European Central Bank. But it's resoundingly missed those targets in 2011, in part because the Greek economy went into a nosedive, estimated to have shrunk by nearly 6% or twice as much as initially predicted. That happened despite the government actually putting into effect less than a quarter of pledged measures, suggesting, critics say, that a fuller embrace of the austerity would have been far more socially damaging. Purposely done or not, our current economic and financial systems are broken, pretty much beyond any easy repair. Those who have been labeled conspiracy theorists over the years are not surprised by this at all, because the information predicting what is about to occur has been made readily available to all who were willing to hear for many years now. Those who are Bible believers who know and read the Bible and have been diligently watching the signs aren't surprised by this either. Despite the fact that information is so much easier to obtain and share these days, the mass majority of people who will be affected by the crisis that is about to bestow them are totally asleep and unaware. Many are still too distracted and mesmerized by the media, sex, name brands, and etc. to be able to receive the forewarning that the storm is about to hit them. The time and the effort that went into creating this video is for the sleepers. God said, make the information available, and some were here that are seeking the information. Now, back to the article and how this relates to the U.S. As you know, the U.S. also has a severe deficit crisis, which will have to be dealt with very soon, because we are reaching a point where we can barely pay the interest on our outstanding loans, which means that we, the U.S., are approaching a point of insolvency. Printing more money will devalue the dollar, which will not only result in higher prices for goods and services, but it will also cause our investors and creditors to lose interest in our securities, thereby affecting our ability to borrow funds. Consequently, more money printing is not a viable option. The only thing left for the government to do is start cutting federal expenses, which is nothing more than implementing austerity measures. Tax hikes are also inevitable because it is impossible for the government to cut enough services to have any real effect on the deficit problem. Of course, none of these painful solutions will be discussed until after the elections. These are the things, though, that the government will be forced to do. However, as per this article, these are the things that will absolutely not work because of greed and spending on material things and living beyond our means. The U.S., like many countries in the EU, now has an irreparable, broken economic system which will now have to be painfully repaired or replaced. The transition will be very, very painful on the masses, to the extent that they will be willing to forego many of their current God-given rights, their rights under the Constitution, and even the sovereignty of their country for a solution. This is essentially what is taking place vis-a-vis those countries in the EU who are accepting bailouts from the IMF. The countries who accept the money must agree to the IMF terms and conditions. You see, there is no such thing as a free lunch. So the U.S. will face austerity measures very soon, right? Does austerity really work? Well, I think what is taking place in Greece right now and in several other countries who have been going through what Greece is experiencing for some time now tells us that the answer is a resounding no. Per this article, Greece is experiencing the following. Unemployment is increasing. Hospital shortages. Unemployed relying on public health systems. Homelessness, suicide, HIV, crime is on the rise. Consumer spending plunge. Economy plummeting into a social crisis. Greek crisis is now a humanitarian crisis. Budget cuts and layoffs. The medicine is simply killing the patients. Cut and tax is not going to work. It only send the country into a depression. So although this has been prophesied in the Bible in the book of Revelation, what we are talking about here today is an extrapolation based on current conditions that let us know that what is being discussed is very highly probable based on known factual information. And I implore you to take it serious and to get to know your Lord and Savior, from which your strength and your guidance will come to deal with this upcoming storm or storms. If anyone would like to discuss this further with me, feel free to contact me via any of my various contacts that are listed on my website. Just go to www.kingdomknowledge.info and click on contacts. And you'll see a list of the different contacts I have via my various social media platforms. All right, so thanks for watching. And as always, peace and love.